So over to you, Ramya.
Hello.
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 Yeah, good morning. Hello. Can you all hear us?
Hello. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar from Varnaaz Technologies from Tech Team Presence. I would like to welcome you all on this demo webinar on D365 Finance and Operation, a module like asset management with one of our reputed consultant, Mr. Pradhan, who would be a part of this webinar by today. So he has conducted most of our training programs on asset management, and he would like to share some of these scenarios in this demo, how exactly, what are the challenges, and a brief part on the asset management. I hope so. Varnaaz technology is in this training past from 12 years, and we have delivered most of the D365 and ERP training programs on AX and D365, and we also have been delivered this training to most of the reputed clients who are based out of India, including Dubai, Saudi, UK, and Singapore and Malaysia. And you can also log on to our website to know more about our training services in D365. Apart from ERP, we have also started new training programs like next gen technologies like in big data, cloud computing services, and open source tools. And we also support in implementation and project launch, milestone deliveries, go live, and many more things. Over to you, Pradhan. You can take it forward.
Yeah, thanks, Ramya. So hi everyone. So before we just start, can we just have a quick introduction? So I'll just start. So my name is Pradhan. So I've been working with this industry from past almost like 9.5 years. So I've been working with asset management and a couple of other modules in Microsoft Dynamics. So this is my experience towards enterprise asset management, which was earlier known as which is now known as asset management. So I've been working with more than like 10 to 15 projects which have been deployed and which I'm just supporting as of now. So can we just have a quick introduction by other members? So we have Ashwini, Mohammed, Vikas, and Farhan Khan. Hello, are you guys able to hear me?
Yeah, Mr. Pradhan. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Ashwini. Yeah.
Pradhan, there is a message in the chat box. If you can address Vikas.
Okay. Okay. Hi, Vikas. So welcome to this webinar.
So initially we'll start. If they have questionnaires, we'll take it up as FAQs in the end of the training.
Yeah, sure. So I'll just start with this webinar. So is there anyone whom we are expecting, or shall I just start, Ramya?
Pradhan, you can meanwhile start it. If they log on, you will be knowing it. You can admit. Sure.
Yeah, sure. So hi everyone. So welcome to this a quick demo on asset management. So this asset management is a new module in Dynamics 365, but this is not at all a new module with Microsoft technologies. So formerly it was known as Enterprise Asset Management, which an ISV partner had introduced this one. And so this has been bought from the Microsoft has bought this right from the ISV partner called Dynamics. So now it's been part of the Dynamics 365 program, so which is called as asset management. So today I will just quickly walk through some of the key points about the asset management. Like I'll just give you an overview of what exactly is an asset management, how a corrective maintenance can be handled, how a preventive maintenance can be handled, so how a predictive maintenance would be just evolved, and work order management plus execution, and a quick walkthrough about the product. So this is what I would be just going through this webinar for the day. So So this asset management, formerly known as enterprise asset management, or it's also called as the maintenance management. So this asset management involves with the maintaining of the fixed assets or the maintainable equipments around your factory or your premises. So how frequently you guys would be just maintaining this equipments around the clock. So so that is all involved with this asset management, which has been linked for the fixed asset and also the movable assets. So this has not been restricted only for the fixed assets. So it can be for the movable assets like trucks and other things. So which would be for the maintainable objects. So even a room can be we can just do the maintenance on a room and some other parts. So which I would be just walking which I would be just explaining you over the period of time. So this asset management is used to plan, optimize, and execute, and also to track the maintenance activities. So which is needed in your factory. So I'm just mentioning about the factory because the maintenance activity majorly holds good in any of the manufacturing industries, because there your machinery criticality is it is at a peak level. So which has not been restricted only for the manufacturing industry. Also, it can be utilized for the hospitals and any other industries as well. So we can just differentiate between different assets and also with a different maintenance activity where any of the worker can just work on it based upon their skill set. So I can just differentiate between this person can just work with this particular work orders and with yes or no. So whether he's having a skill set and the material and tool which has been available for performing this particular operation. So the group of maintaining assets are typically the cost centers. So that is does not generate revenue, but you can just do the service on the profit centers. So you guys can just have a look about the cost, how you guys are like where exactly the maintenance has been where you guys are just spending across. So this would be a major change or a revolution for the maintenance manager, where they can just track about where their exact costs are just going through. And also you guys can just have a you guys can just have a differentiation, or you guys can just get a gist of how much maintenance work or the efforts you guys are spending on an assets. So if you just think that asset is not valuable, instead of buying a new asset, so you guys can just decide, so is it better to just maintain this particular asset, or you guys can just scrap it and buy a new asset if the cost of the new asset is less than the maintenance. So sometimes this happens because over a period of time what happens is your maintenance object or the maintenance cost on a particular object would be drastically increased. So with this Microsoft Dynamics asset management, so we have a link towards the whole ERP system, which has not been restricted only for the asset management. So this is not a this is a built-in feature, not a bolt-on solution. So this helps us to integrate with most of the different modules across Dynamics 365. So we have a connection to the HR where we get the workers for where we can just navigate for the calendars and also the skill set, and also the availability of that particular resources. And also we can just include the cost and also the other products. Other features of the workers. So and this asset management is linked to the projects where we can just um, derive, or we can just extract all the features which the project management has been evolved. And it also has the linkage towards the rich resource called supplies chain management, where we can just do the procurement, we can just do the requisitions, and also we can just try to extract some of the spare part from the inventory, and towards the financial, and also towards the production. So this is how this asset management is interlinked with the different modules of enterprise asset management, D365. So is there any questions till now? So I'll just take silence as no. So I'll just go ahead. So this Microsoft Dynamics 365 asset management on a very big picture will just showcase you about a particular asset, starting from its acquisition to its retirement. So this is an entire end-to-end picture of this particular asset management. So over here you can just see how the particular asset has been acquired, just like your fixed asset, where you guys can just capitalize your fixed asset, transfer, evolve, split your fixed asset, and you have a depreciation value on the fixed asset, and also the derived on the derived books, so which is based upon the financials. So under the management, you guys can just see about the blue boxes. So all these blue boxes are been introduced recently with this asset management. So we have a function location. We can just have a multi-level asset functionality. We can just have a asset register, spare part control, maintenance schedules, and how do you just work towards the maintenance, like the breakdown maintenance, preventive maintenance, and you guys, we can just have the analytics and also the KPIs over the work orders or the workers, or as well as on the equipment. So the equipment is nothing but called as assets in this particular module. So we have a different checklist. So the checklists are nothing but the instructions which would be just given to the worker, so to perform a certain set of activities. And we have the fault management, budget and cost control, scheduling board, mobile execution. So we have Microsoft has introduced this mobile portal, so which is part of the standard Dynamics 365. So we have asset history, maintenance rounds, so and many more. So this is also been interlinked towards the supply chain area and the customer services, and which has not been just restricted on this one, as Microsoft is providing a lot of other features like the inbuilt Power BI and other apps. So we can just explore many more features from this particular module. So this would be the course. So what Microsoft Dynamics Asset Management has a different streams.
One second, Pradhan, if anyone are waiting, can you just check?
I don't see anyone.
Okay, sure.
Okay, perfect.
Sure.
So I'll just quickly tell you what exactly is a function location and an object, and also I'll just take you guys into the product, and I'll just give you a quick demo. So the function location is nothing but we are just having the physical space in the virtual arena. So that's called the function locations. So here we can just have a so the picture which I have just put it over here is a airport hangar from Boeing. So we have a different base. So each bay is a function locations. So this function location would be a physical location in the factory. So this function location is basically needed for addressing to the particular asset, plus also to inform the workers where exactly this particular asset is in the big factory. So here you guys can just see this would be the size of a typical BMW factory. So if the worker does not know where exactly the asset is, so he won't be able to just understand, and he might be losing a lot of his time to just finding that particular asset. So that's the reason this functional asset will just help the workers and also to just maintain the physical resource where exactly is being placed. So this will just give a clear picture to the maintenance manager and also to the management community. So that's the quick feature of the function location. And the assets. So assets are nothing but the equipments. So we have different types of assets and or based upon the particular model uh, and also the versions of it. So we can just have a different versions for this particular asset where the manufacturer has been created. So here you guys can just see the robots. So each robot is an asset in my company. So maintaining about my asset is very much important and it's a critical resource in any of the manufacturing industry, because if one of the asset is having a breakdown, so and it might just cause a loss in the production. So assume one of the robot is not working, so then I have to just stop my entire production unit. So that would be the cost towards the production. So how do we overcome this one is based upon the preventive maintenance and the predictive maintenance of what I would be just talking in ahead. So this is a simple picture of a corrective versus a preventive action versus a corrective action and a preventive action. So what exactly we just do in nowadays is like, I mean, what currently people are just doing in the industry is like they are just going towards a correction. I mean, the reactive maintenance, whenever they just see something has been failure on the machine, they just go and fix it there itself. And now how the industry has been evolved is they are just going, I mean, they are just marching from the correction towards the corrective action towards the preventive action. So based upon their history, I mean, based upon their experience, what they'll just do is, so they'll just inform if this particular things are not working fine, then it might fail in future. So before it fails, we'll just try to fix it. So this things are been evolving right now. So and on the assets we have something called the conditional management. A conditional assessment. So which will let us know whether this particular asset is been capable of performing certain action or not. If it fails, that particular conditional assessment definitely it might fail in future. So all these things we would be having over. So is there any questions till now? I guess I'm audible, right?
Yeah, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. Karan, can hear you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So I'll just get into the demo version of it. Okay, so this is a standard Dynamics 365. So here we can just see something called the asset management. So this is a new module which has been introduced with this Dynamics 365. So here we can just have the workspaces common. I mean, this particular page is similar to any of the other modules. So let me just quickly demonstrate some of the actions, like how we just create a request and how a request has been converted to a work order and how it's been assigned to a worker. And also we'll just talk towards the preventive maintenance. Also we can just see the cost, how much is been incurred for the same. So is that okay? So if I just go to common, all assets, so this will just give me an asset overview in my particular, I mean, in my factory. So whatever we are just seeing over here, it's configured for a hospital. So let me just go here, asset view. So my particular in this particular company, so this has been configured for a hospital. So in my particular hospital, I have two buildings. So each building has different assets. So all these assets are for the clinical assets. So which is by I mean electro. So this electromechanical machines and also biomedical equipments. So here I have just been categorized as the functional location. So this is a location, this is a location, and this is assets, as the legend says. So so these are in the building B. I can just get to know how many assets are been there in my particular factory. So if I just click on any of the asset, I can just see on the fact boxes like which location does it fall under, and how many requests are been there on this particular asset, and also how many active work orders, and if there are any children, and also the assets. So this is related to the function location on this particular function location, and this is towards the asset. So this is a detail of this particular asset. So this is X-ray machine, so which has been manufactured by Philips, and the model what I've just given is the X-ray. So I have a different views over here where I can just see only the functional locations if I just need. So this is my buildings, and in my buildings, what are the assets which have been placed and which have been installed. So I can just have a different types of assets. So these are my different types of assets which I have in my factory. So these are my different type of X-ray machines. So which has been manufactured from Philips, and this is for the ventilators. So Philips is a manufacturer, and he manufactures two versions of ventilators, and this for the scanners. So this view will just give us the function location plus the objects. So let me just quickly go through one of the particular asset. I'll just try to create an asset, and also I'll just try to create a particular, I'll just create a corrective maintenance, and let's see the cost for it. And we'll just have a look about the preventive maintenance. So I'm not getting into detail level of how we just configure and the setup related activities. I'm not pitching in as of today. So whenever I just acquire a particular asset, so I just come here and just register. So assume I just bought a new equipment, so which is a CT scanner. So this effective date is from when I have just been acquired this particular asset, and I'll just say this asset type is of type scanner, which has been manufactured by LG, and the model is CT scanner. So if I have any parent asset, I can just mark it over here. So this will be just given me an hierarchical level of the assets. So and I can just try to find a particular location where I'm just putting this particular CT scan. So I'll just place it in non-surgical room. So once I create this particular asset, I can just see a list of this particular details where I can just have the manufacturer details. So it was being manufactured in 2019, and the company serial number. So and also I can just link towards the fixed asset. So this will just give me towards the fixed asset and also the depreciation details. So I do not have any fixed asset, but whenever we just try to acquire some of the equipments, we would be the finance team would be just creating the fixed asset, and from here we can just link this particular asset towards a fixed asset. So which in turn will let us know what is the book value of this particular asset over a period of time. And also for the maintenance, for the finance team, they can just get to know where this particular asset physically lays in my particular factory. So we have the replacement details if there are any, and also we have the vendor management. So we can just get to know from where it was being bought. If there is any purchase order details, we can just key in over here, and the acquisition price, And if there is any warranty period, I can just put it over here. So for example, I have a warranty starting from 1st of June for 1 year. So if I just try to create a request, so system will just let me know saying that there is a existing warranty on this particular asset. Do you still want to just continue creating a request so that the maintenance engineer can just handle it? Otherwise, we can just claim the warranty on this particular asset. I can just put an image. So these are the things. So on the fact boxes, we can just observe if there are any active maintenance requests, active work orders. So the preventive maintenance one, it's supposed to just take. So maybe I'll just walk through this one with a different asset. So let me just try to create a problem on this particular asset. So this is asset number 24. So I can just create the maintenance request. So under the maintenance request, all maintenance request, I found the CT scanner is not working. So I'll just create. So I can just find this particular asset. So whatever I'm just showcasing here is an acceptor version of it. So all these things has a mobile feature where we can just try to just log in on the mobile and we can just place the request, and also we can just try to execute the work orders. So I can just register the faults if there are any faults. And here I can just put some additional notes. So say electrical failure. So it's like the requester can be anyone in the hospital. So for example, the medical staff, so who has just observed this CT scan is not working, so they are just trying to create a request for the maintenance department. So they are just informing so electrical unit has burned out. So now I just create this request. So now this request comes towards the maintenance department. The planner in the maintenance department, his responsibility to allocate this particular request. I mean, he can just try to create a work order, or else he can also just reject it if he finds if there are any other open requests on this particular asset. So here we have an identifier for the request and the physical location. If I've just added this particular location on the asset with the longitude and the latitude, and the description of the request, responsible group, and I can just have a responsible worker which have been configured. So here the responsibility just lies on me, or I can just try to find some other workers. And there's a service level agreement, and I have a detail of the notes which the requester has put forward, and this is the details of the asset. So even we can just see it from the workspaces. So the request management workspace. So here I can just get to know there is a request which has come from, and now the planner thinks there should be a corrective maintenance on this one. So he can just create a work order. So he just creates a work order. He just finds the job type as corrective repair, and there is no variance on the corrective repairs. So my expected start date for doing this particular activity is today. This service level can also be just changed, because as CT scan is a critical machine in my hospital, I'm just changing the priority level to immediate. so that it would be just completed within the service level agreement what has been created. So for, on my service level agreement of 1, I need to just correct it within 4 hours. So I just create this. So here you can just observe an active warranty exists on this particular asset and the warranty expires on this particular. Are you sure you want to create a work order? So this is what the warranty will help us to just, we can just try to claim for the vendor warranties if there are any. So if that particular asset has been configured for the warranties. So for now, I'll just create yes. And a one particular work order has been created. So I'll just go towards the work order, active work orders. So this is my work order. So here, based upon the configuration on this particular asset, I have a forecast which says I might be just taking 3 hours for the corrective action. So the cost for this 3 hours is like 60 dirhams or $60 in this particular example. And I have not been scheduled anything. So that's the reason it's 0 and the posted hours is 0. And if there are any procurement and also the actual cost of this particular work order. So what I'll just do is, so is there any questions? Hello? Okay, I just heard someone speaking. So, okay. So
I
now,
have one, sorry, Mr. Pradhan, can you hear me?
yeah.
One question.
Sure.
Work orders. Okay, I just want to work order are basically internal job. Okay, work order
Yes.
I will create for my internal resource.
Correct.
Okay, just want to, if I have to offshore it to my vendor, I have a different vendor, not original manufacturer, not OEM. But can I create a purchase order for this particular repair work?
Yes, of course. So whatever you just asked is a very good question. I was just about to explain the same thing. So here you guys can just see the item task, and here from here we can just create a purchase requisition where it will be just informed to my buying team or the procurement team. Or else if you are allowed to just create the purchase order from the worker itself, you can just create the work order where now you can just choose the OEM, the vendor, other vendors, and you guys can just send this particular asset out of the factory for doing the particular repair. Or if the vendor just comes into your factory and just repairs, that's also a possibilities.
Okay, yeah, okay. And how about the pricing engine for this purchase order type? How the pricing engine will work for these purchases? Can
The
I set up
purchase,
a predefined purchase,
yes.
predefined purchase?
See, again, for the purchases, you have something called the item or the services, right? An item might be a
Yeah.
service item also. So if you have a standard trade agreements for this particular service, so similarly like the purchases, what we just create the purchase orders, so that will holds good over here.
Okay. So I got a point. So it's integrated with trade agreement. That's good.
Yes.
But then one question, sorry, how my item code will be? I have to define a purchase. Okay, I'll check this one. I think because when I create a purchase order, I have to link a particular item, either service type item or a non-stock item, to the purchase order.
Yes. So if I just try to create the purchase order, so my extension of this particular asset management will just lands me towards the purchase order form itself. So here you can just see this is a normal purchase order screen. So you just create the purchase order and you just choose the vendor. So I have not configured any of the vendors over here, so that's the reason it's not been available. Otherwise, it's the same thing. So you guys can just have the vendor, and if there's any contract, you can just put it and the purchase agreement and the delivery address, and you guys can just have the multiple purchase lines. So we can just have if there is any item, service item, we can just mention it, or we can just have a line and also the cost for it. So sometimes we don't have particular item, we can just have the services based upon the procurement category, and we can just try to procure it.
Yeah, okay,
Okay,
clear on that part.
so perfect. So all this cost which is been incurred on the purchase orders would be able to view on this particular orders. So which would be part of the procurement. And under the total, I can just see the overall cost of this particular work order. So this will help the maintenance manager or the management team or the management community to just observe how much cost is being incurred over a different assets over a period of time. And also if we just thinks my CT scanner which has been bought from Philips is not a good quality. So if we can just compare versus Philips versus LG, and he can just differentiate what is the maintenance cost over a period of 1 year. So whenever he's just trying to buy a new asset over a period of time, he can just choose based upon his particular experience on this particular hospital. So this will help and just gives a third view for the maintenance managers and for the management community. Okay. So going back to this, okay. So someone just joined. So just continuing with my corrective maintenance. So here what I have two features. I mean, I can just try to just assign this particular work order to one of my internal worker. So I have an option of schedule as well as dispatch. So dispatch allows the planner to just choose any of the worker. So I just choose myself or any of the other worker, and this is the maintenance forecast hours, and this is not been posted as of now, and this is schedule hours. So this will just show you about the finite capacity of the asset, whether this particular asset has been available. And also if I have just configured some of the tools. Tools is nothing but a shared resources in my factory. So if I have certain tools, so let's take an example. I have a overhead crane. So this is a resource and I would like to just book it for a few hours. So then this particular tool would be available on this particular work order on this particular duration. So which makes it unavailable for rest of the users to just book that particular resource on that scheduled slot. Okay. So I just scheduled to this particular worker. So it's been scheduled. So we have certain concept called scoring on the work order, plus also on the worker. So based upon his skill set and also whether he's a preferred worker and if he's been available in that particular location and if he's not been overbooked. So all these factors has been taken care and a suitable worker would be chosen over. So once it's been configured, once it's been disposed to a worker, so you can just, so let me just walk through in maintenance worker perspective. So the maintenance worker can just see he's been assigned with one of the work order. You can just go to the work order. My schedule, my work order schedule or active work order. Maybe you can just there's an option where he can just see it because it was not scheduled for me. So I'm just going back over here and he can just open this particular work order and he can just go through the history of this particular work order. What are the events which has been taken over a period of time. So he can just get to know it's a new maintenance. There's a new object which has been installed and based upon the request, he can just get to know what was the issue. And this is a checklist which has been created, the calendar and the worker. So there's a linkage from the request to the work order and the other way around as well. So So I'll just walk through towards the checklist. So I have certain checklist. So if I have not completed any of the checklist, I won't be able to just complete this particular work order. So if I just try to just change the stage of this particular work order from created to in progress, which will just capture my actual start date. And if I just try to complete, I won't be able to complete because there is a mandatory work order. So it just shows me an error. Mandatory maintenance checklist on the item 3, which has not been performed. So I'll just complete it. Check. See if I have any of the recordings also, I can just make a recording over here on the checklist. And also I'll just post a journal. So this particular work order has been taken like if I just go to the forecast, sorry, this for the forecast journals align. So I'll just post like it just took 5 hours. Save, post. So this would be the validation of the work orders. So it's been posted. And here we can just observe what was the maintenance cost. So the maintenance forecast of was for 3 hours and schedule was 3 hours, and the work order which was been posted was 5 hours. And this is a forecasted cost. And if there are any items, I can just see the item cost over here. And this is towards the forecast versus the actual cost. So now I can just update the stage to complete it. So in the interest of time, I'm just being a very quick over here because I would like to just demonstrate about the preventive maintenance also. So this is towards the corrective actions. So going back to the preventive, so we have something called the preventive maintenance under the preventive plans. So we have two types of preventive maintenance. So based upon a counter based or so it's based basically upon a time bound or a counter based. So if I just take an example of a car, so my car has to be serviced within within 3 months whenever I've just bought my new car, or a 500 kilometers, whichever just comes before. So I can just have this particular assets which can be a timeline plus also the counter. So whichever it just falls under, it will just consider that particular duration, and the work order would be just populated. So this would be a potential work order, and it can be just handed over towards planner, and the planner will just decide whether this particular potential work order has to be converted to a work order. So if he thinks it has to be converted to a work order, he can just try to convert to a work order, or else he can just allow system to just create the work orders whenever it's been required. So there is an option called create work order. So this will create the work order automatically. So I have something called the preventive maintenance for the CT scanner. So here we can just observe. So the CT scan which I just included has been part of this particular maintenance plan. So which can be just chosen over the function location and also the function location types. So which can be just restricted, saying that this particular maintenance plan is been applicable only for this particular function location or this particular function location types, or and also the asset types. So let me just try to create a calendar for this one. So 24, I just need to go to periodic, preventive maintenance, schedule maintenance plans. So I'll just schedule for 1 year, and I'm not auto creating it. So under the maintenance schedule, I can just see all maintenance schedule. So if I just choose my asset, so here I can just observe there's a calendar which has been created. For example, I'll just take an example of 18 contains. So here I can just see the preventive maintenance which has been scheduled. So I have a monthly preventive maintenance which have been scheduled on a repetitive for every month. So which has been started from last month. So for September, October, November, and December, I have a semi-annual. So I'm just skipping this monthly activity. And similarly, I would be having the monthly activity and an annual, which has been skipped for monthly plus semi-annual. And also I can just have related checklists and other things. So there's a concept called rounds also where I can just get into the different factories and also I can just try to extract some of the details. And there's a good feature with the preventive maintenance where I can just have the IoT devices which has been installed on the assets. So for example, I have a boiler room. So I just get the information about this particular boiler every 1 hour. So if my boiler reaches like more than like say 150 degrees centigrade, so then I just need to just reduce or I have to just control this particular temperature of this boiler. Otherwise, it might uh, like explode. So in this case, I can just try to create a work order automatically. So this will try to create the asset. I mean, this will just try to create the work order automatically, and also it will be scheduled to a worker with the different priority levels. So is there any questions? Hello? Hello? So
Hello.
this is on a very high level about the asset management. So I'll just keep the forum for asking any questions. I've just gone through a very high level details. So this would be part of the coverage uh, for this particular training program. So these are the different topics which would be covered. So if there is any questions, I can just address.
Hello.
Hello? Yeah.
Pradhan, I just want to check one thing. Let's say if I receive 20 furnitures, it's say let's say chair. So do I need to create one by one, or I can create in a lump sum?
So you just say 20 furniture for the repair.
No, I mean create like assets I receive new ones.
Okay. So you just need to install them. So if you have just procured it using a purchase orders, so there's an feature called pending objects. So if based upon this pending object, I can just see the different assets. I mean, based upon the purchase order, then I can just choose that particular asset and I can just install it. So that would
No,
be
what,
different
what I
assets.
mean what I mean is let's say in a single order I'm receiving 20 quantity.
Uh-huh.
So when I receive 20 quantity, do I so each asset will be having a unique code, right?
Correct.
So do I need to create 20 times, or in a single time I can just give that description, give as quantity as 20, so it will create 20 numbers?
No, you have to just create it individually because you have an individual serial number and also the manufacturer other details which you have to just key in.
No, I mean, let's say my manufacturer, let's say it's a furniture, I don't have a serial number.
Uh-huh.
It's all the, let's say the dimensions are same, color is same. Only the
Correct.
quantity is a difference.
Okay.
So
So in
for
that
those,
case, you can just copy it.
okay, that's all. Huh? Everything is like manually I have to do it up one by one.
Yes. Or else if you have an, I mean, if you already have the purchase order which has been linked, so you can just see under the pending objects and you can just try to create the assets from here. So I think for
Okay.
the furnitures, you won't be just doing it because it's not a maintainable object
Okay.
or the maintainable assets.
Because I see in some companies they create and maintain it up.
See, it again depends upon the company's
Yeah,
requirement,
that's what. Yeah,
right?
depends on some companies. We used to see that.
Yeah, it again depends. So whether it's a critical resources, then you would be just trying to do it. Otherwise, usually for this type of assets, which we just call it as consumables, which won't be part of this particular asset.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So any other questions? Ramya?
Yeah, Pradhan.
So I've just completed a very quick overview about this asset management. So I think there is no questions. So if you have anything, we can just try to discuss.
Sure, ma'am. I would like to thank who all have attended this webinar. So shortly I'll be sharing the content, what exactly we will be covering up. If you have any queries related to this or in depth, if you would like to know anything, or you can just drop me an email so that I can connect our consultant Pradhan over this conference call also further to this, and we can have a further discussion.
Let me last time in last webinar, it was told that you'll be sharing the video and where we'll have an access to the software like on monthly basis something. But after that, we didn't get any update on that.
See, we have our YouTube channel, Mr. Prashant. So I'll just share you the link. You can go through the latest demo webinars we have just uploaded there.
Okay.
You can have a look through that. And later things, if you have any queries, you can just drop me an email to my mail ID related to if you want to purchase the D365 access for 1 month or anything, what would be the price and other things, I'll be sharing you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. See, after this session, I'll be sharing the last conducted webinar's YouTube link also. You people can go through it, and this webinar link will be latestly posting by Monday.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pradhan.
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a wonderful weekend.
Same to you.
Once again, thank you all, and we can have a further discussion. You can just drop me an email if anything required, or you can just contact me or my number. Sure? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.